I'm Helen.
And I'm Liz.
And we're sisters,
Scientists.
and lifelong X-Files fans.
And this is We Want to Believe.
All right. Last episode of season 1.
So today we are talking about the Erlenmeyer Flask, season 1 finale. We are going to wait on talking about the book, the X-Files Origins, Agent of Chaos.
You can throw me under the...
Helen hasn't read it yet.
Throw me under the book.
I'll throw you under the book.
Yeah.
Well, Helen hasn't read it yet, but also, Helen, when you do read it, I do feel like it merits its own episode. There's plenty to talk about there.
Okay. Perfect.
So I feel like we don't need to just squeeze it into another episode. We can do kind of a special,
Perfect.
And hey, if you, listener, haven't read it yet and you want to, read it. And then you can, have opinions and stuff.
Can you give us like a real quick, I'm going to read it.
Teenage Fox Mulder has just moved.
I mean, is it worth it?
Oh, I mean, I have read much worse books.
Okay.
I finished it.
Okay. Was it?
It's a pretty quick read.
Okay.
There's some stuff that I found really weird that I want to talk about. I wonder what this means and what they were intending. And I have some questions about the ending, but I think
Okay.
Is it like, oh my God, you have to read it, it's so good? No, I didn't feel that way.
Okay.
But I also don't think you're going to read it and be like, why did I waste my time? This is torture, I don't know. It's a book.
Yeah. Okay.
The
reason why I haven't read it is because a book that I was waiting for to come out came out in late September.
Oh, what book?
Kingdom of the Feared. It's kind of fantasy-ish. It's real good.
Feared, like Feared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I pictured it like some sort of. I imagined a magic tree called a feared, and I pictured it spelled as if like beard, but with an F. And then, anyway.
No.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah. Feared. It's the end of a trilogy.
Okay.
And so.
So you're waiting.
Yes. So I was waiting for that, but then, and this part is just fully on me, because I'm almost done with it now, but before it was coming out, I had a break where I was like, I could read Agent of Chaos now, but I wanted to reread the second book in preparation.
Okay. Yeah, I get that.
Coming out.
Yeah. I mean, I want to rewatch Dairy Girls this week because October 7th, the season 3 comes on Netflix. So
yes. Oh, yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Having just been in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
All right. So Erlenmeyer Flask.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. I mean, I think it's great. I think it's a great episode. Yes. It's so good. And especially coming off Roland, which I don't care for. And even I just felt like it was a step up from most of the episodes this season.
It felt a lot more like classic X-Files.
Yeah. And I feel like I've said that a few times. I feel like I said that about EBE.
Yeah.
And but this is oh, no. This is what I love. This show. This is so good.
Yes. Agreed.
And it's got that great cold open. It opens with a car there's a pursuit of a man who's on foot and there's cars and he's running and he's afraid. And he gets to the edge of this dock and he won't surrender or whatever.
Yeah.
And they shoot him and he leaps off the dock and doesn't surface. And then they go and they're like, there should be blood. And they see there's green stuff on the dock. And it sounds so goofy to be like green blood, but it's really well done, I think.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after the intro,
yeah.
Wait.
Do you want to say it?
What?
About the intro?
Oh, no. Did I miss it?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Trust no one. Oh. It doesn't say the truth is out there. It says trust no one. This is the first time the words change.
Oh man, I must have been looking down. I can't believe.
Yeah, you get used to it being the open, know. But I've been like waiting because I was pretty sure this was the one where they start that. So, of course, trust no one. Ooh, goosebumps.
Now I want to go rewatch it.
Just watch that.
Yeah,
moment.
I will. Okay. All right. I was about to say when you said that, and then the intro, which turns out it was The Truth Is Out There for the whole of the first season, is what I was going to say.
Oh, God.
So, that's not correct. So then we get Mulder watching TV, I believe. Or no, he's asleep on his couch.
Yeah.
The TV is on. And he gets a call from Deep Throat asking if he's watching a certain channel and to turn it on. And it's just information basically about the car chase.
Yeah.
About that happening. And there's not really any more information. And so he brings it to Scully and she kind of feels like that, like, well, what is the point of this? It's just a news covering of this.
Yeah.
And apparently the guy, they'd been chasing him because of like a traffic violation or something. Right. It was really weird. And eventually they take like a few screenshots.
Let's call them photos. I don't know. They freeze frame on some images from the footage
and print
at the crime scene. Yeah.
And they're trying to identify the people that are in them because that's, what they're thinking could be possible. And so they talk to one of the guys who was involved and he didn't really have much to say except that there were a bunch of people there, a bunch of different agencies. And so there were a lot of people he didn't know, but he referred them to where they could find the guy's car.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's right, because it started as a car chase. And so the car, and it's, do they know his name, the guy who they were after? I think it's Dr. Sakar.
Yeah, they don't.
If they said that yet?
Out until later.
Okay.
But yeah.
Got it.
Dr. Sakari, I believe.
Sakari. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So they go to look at his car and they see an image in the mirror. Or I'm sorry. They see an image in whatever photo they have from the TV broadcast.
Right.
They see an image of the car from the news broadcast, and it looks slightly different. The windshield looks different than it does in person.
When they go to the crime scene. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a sticker of a Caduceus.
Yes.
That's the snake wrapped around the staff, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep. It's a medical symbol. Now I heard this rumor this is a weird thing to have a rumor about. But I heard this a long time ago. So I don't know how true this is. I mean,
was it on like Perez Hilton or something?
Yeah. It was, I believe, in my parasitology class at college. That symbol came to be because of the manner in which you have to slowly tease out a guinea worm from an infection. If someone has a guinea worm, they can break really easily. And so you take a stick and you put it close to where the guinea worm is exiting the skin and you slowly wrap it around the stick.
That's horrifying.
Horrified.
But also I was sort of aware of this because of Bridget Jones in the book talking about maybe I've lost weight because I have a tapeworm. Tom says to lure a tapeworm out, you hold a bowl of milk in front of your mouth. And then when it comes out, you slowly wind it around a stick or something like that. And she was like, but I like my tapeworm, if so. And yeah.
Yeah.
So that is gross. That is a gross thing to have as your symbol.
Yeah. I think it's kind of neat.
I mean, it's probably one of the least gross things about medicine, though, I guess. Like,
I mean, worms crawl. I have a pretty high tolerance, but I would say worms crawling out of people's skin is up there.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right.
Yeah. I don't feel blasé about that.
Okay. That's good. Another day, another worm.
Yeah.
All right.
But yes, so it implies that he's a physician of some sort. And
yeah. So they realize that this also implies someone switched out the cars, that the car that's currently at the crime scene is not the actual car that Dr. Sakari was driving, but they don't know its name yet, but that the guy who was shot was driving.
Right. And so Mulder calls Danny, and
his unseen friend.
Yep. And calls in the plate number for the car that they do have. And that leads them to a Dr. Bulgari.
It was it's something like that. No, I want to know what it was. Berube. Yeah.
So they run the plate, and that leads them to a Dr. Berube.
And he's in like a lab. He's very rude when they show up. He's very like, get out of here, kind of cuts them off. But then he's killed by, or not yet?
No, not yet. Okay. Well, some things to point out are that working with primates, he also has a lot of stuff on his bench, and they're kind of looking around looking at
equipment. Yeah.
One of the things is an Erlenmeyer Flask.
That's the name of the episode.
Yes. And so he's kind of, doing some science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a vaguely biology, chemist looking lab look to it to me.
Yeah. So he's pretty unhelpful. And then, they find out, and we see as the audience that someone comes in and kills him.
Yeah. And they like make it look like a suicide, but Mulder and Scully are not fooled. And while they are there at the crime scene, they pick up this Erlenmeyer flask. And if you don't know what that is, by the way, it's a picture like clear glass, like a test tube, but the bottom is big and like a conical section. Yeah, like,
would you call that conical?
I call a lot of things conical. I kept describing something. What was it? Something. Oh, this particular pastry that Adam and I ate in London. I don't know if pastry is quite the right word, but I kept describing it as a rectangular prism. And he's just like, stop it. It's a square.
That's what didn't we talk about that? The pan al sucre? That's what
Yes. Yeah, we think it's similar to that. They call it like a honey toast.
Okay. And I apologize. Oh no, finish about the honey toast.
It's a rectangular prism.
Okay.
It's not a square because a square is two-dimensional and that would not be as satisfying to eat.
Yes, true. Okay, so according to Wikipedia, an Erlenmeyer flask, also known as a conical flask.
Hey!
So apologies, or a titration flask, is a type of laboratory flask which features a flat bottom, a conical body, and a cylindrical neck.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's kind of like a goose.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you turned a goose into a flask and
turned it on its side.
Oh, see, I would think the goose is just looking up.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And its legs are tucked under it.
Yeah.
Like it's in the water. Maybe a swan. All right. Anyway. Maybe if you don't know what this flask looks like, you should either not care or Google it.
Or just imagine it like a swan looking up in the water.
Yeah. And it's also doesn't actually matter at all to the episode. They turn it upside down. They're looking at the bottom of the goose, and there is a little tiny
sticker
thing. Yeah, and written on it is purity control.
Which is a super creepy thing to write or find.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
And it's got some very brownish looking liquid in it. And so Mulder asks Scully to find out what it is.
Yeah. and a very helpful doctor who I like, which anytime I'm like, I like this side character.
They're going to die.
They're going to die. Yeah.
Yeah. And this one too, I've always felt an affinity for because she has dark curly hair and is a microbiologist. And so I felt like, yeah, you go that lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way to be a dark haired scientist. I don't know.
So yeah, she's analyzing it. Yeah.
We forgot an important part about Dr.
Berube.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Something that I thought was interesting and funny was that when they're initially talking about him, Mulder and Scully they mentioned that he is a part of the Human Genome Project.
Oh my God, of course. Yes. Yeah. Which
is really funny to me because they make it sound like, I mean, it was a big deal. I forget what a big deal it was because we're so far in the future from it. I mean, but they say it almost with an air of suspicion, like
it could be, this could be relevant.
Right.
It's, right. Yeah.
Like, how I picture people would be like, oh, this person worked on MK Ultra, the Human Genome Project.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
The Human Genome Project, it started and this is what I had looked up because I couldn't think of the exact year. It started in 1990.
Oh, okay. So it was pretty recent then.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a few years before. And it officially wrapped up in 2003. And it was a project to sequence the whole of the human genome. So all of the DNA, all of the genes present in a human body. And now we've got like all sorts of them. Like we have the Neanderthal genome done as well.
Whoa. How about a goose? Do we have a goose?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure.
Well, we're talking about them. Yeah.
So it looks like
the Human Genome Project. I had a quick question.
Oh, right. What was your question?
Okay. So here's my question about the Human Genome Project. All right. How do I say this? DNA is proteins.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
It's protein?
No.
It's not.
No.
Oh.
It's DNA. All right. Here we go.
Damn it. All right. Okay. I guess I have more questions than I thought.
Well, because we're going to get into this with part of what the woman tells Scully later anyway.
Oh, so yes. And I want to talk about that because I think it is something she says. Okay. Let me say this about DNA. Base pairs make up DNA.
Yeah.
And as we've talked about, to me, they taste like fruit flavored mini marshmallows because of a project I did in 9th grade bio.
Yes.
And so that's like the GATC.
Yes.
Adenine,
guanine, cytosine, thymine.
Got it.
Yep.
And G pairs with one of T. No, that's gin and tonic. G pairs with C, A pairs with T.
Yep.
Okay. And so when you say the Human Genome Project,
yes,
we have, what is a genome?
Okay. So let's start with what a gene is. So a gene is a location on our DNA or on our chromosomes specifically.
Okay. Chromosomes. Those are the things that the sex cells have 23 and all the other cells have 46.
Typically. Yes.
Okay. Typically.
And chromosomes are just DNA wound around proteins so that it's coiled up and more easily movable.
Okay. So you get like a bunch of those GATC pairs.
So let me just start.
Okay. All right.
The wrong way.
Okay.
So,
okay.
We have. This is gonna be really hard without a whiteboard.
A story of my life, man. I've got a whiteboard behind me, but I don't know what to draw, and B, this is audio, so that's the real problem. Yeah.
Okay. So DNA is made up of 4 different nucleotides.
That's what those are called. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And these nucleotides, like you said, they pair together. So we have G's and C's pair together and A's and T's pair together. And they are connected together in the middle. And then there's a phosphate and sugar backbone. So if you picture it like a ladder, DNA essentially looks like a ladder that's twisted up to look like a double helix.
Yep.
So on either the sides of the ladder, the part that, you're not stepping on, those are the phosphate and sugars.
Okay.
And then the rungs of the ladder are made up of, say, a G and a C. And that G and C are bonded together with hydrogen bonds. And then we have, millions and millions. Yes. Ms. Holt.
I raised my hand. Is it really like two ladders next to each other because it's a double helix?
No, it's one ladder. It's like if you cut a ladder in half and then use wood glue to glue it back together.
Okay.
So you put it on the rungs.
Yep.
Which I don't recommend for general homeowner safety.
So you cut a ladder in half.
Yeah.
And what's the point of gluing it back together if you're just going to cut it again? Or why did you cut it to begin with if you're going to glue it back together? That's what I actually meant to ask.
For the sake of this discussion.
Okay. All right. And then like half the rung is G and half the rung is C. In this analogy.
Well, yeah, yes, of one rung. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
One rung.
How do you make a single ladder twisted into a double helix?
So when they come together, just based on the interactions and the fact that the phosphates and sugars are alternating and they alternate the opposite direction on the other side, it's called anti-parallel strands. That's going to cause it to twist. So it's like your ladder is suddenly made out of Twizzlers, and you can spin it, twist it.
Okay. I will say that like the one time I felt like, Rosalind Franklin, the one who took the picture. Well, if anyone else isn't, true. She took the picture that led to Watson and Crick realizing that DNA was built like a double helix. And it's like called photo 51. And I've never understood because it looks like an X. And I never understood how does that lead to somebody figuring out that it's a double helix. But one time I was standing at the top of a big spiral staircase and I looked down and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I get it now. It looks like an X. Two staircases like twisting around each other.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
totally. So we have these two strands. They are made up of these base pairs and phosphates and sugars, but those are more structural, less important. Okay. And so, we can look at a chunk of the DNA and say, and I'm going to make these letters up. I don't have any genes memorized, but this particular part might say A, C, G, T, A. And that codes for blue eyes.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we have these sections of DNA and the code that is part of it is going to code for some sort of functional protein. And that is a gene.
When you say it's going to code for it, it itself is not a protein.
No,
so what does that? So what does that mean?
What happens is that when in certain parts of the cell's life cycle, the DNA is going to unzip. So now instead of a ladder metaphor, we're switching to a zipper metaphor.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Yep. All right, we've unzipped it.
You've got a zipper at the top of your ladder, and you start to unzip, and the ladder starts to widen.
Peel apart. Yep.
And during that time, depending on what's doing the unzipping, it can make RNA.
Okay. So that DNA can make RNA.
Well, the DNA codes for RNA.
It creates it?
It codes for it. So if I have a certain sequence on my DNA, it's going to code for a very specific sequence of mRNA.
Okay, I'm going to need you to stop saying code for because I clearly don't know what it means.
Okay.
It's like a map?
It's a template.
A template. Okay, there we go. Yes. All right.
It's a template.
And it's like hey, you ready to make some RNA? Here's what you should do.
Yep.
And then the thing makes RNA.
Yeah. Different
Okay.
proteins.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more like a protein instructor or something.
Yes. So
Okay.
then the RNA, mRNA specifically, there are different types, travels to a different part of the
and we've
cell.
talked about mRNA. Isn't that something to do with the COVID vaccine?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's an mRNA vaccine.
Yeah. I was like, why have I heard that recently?
That's like the next step. So mRNA codes for, is a template for protein synthesis. So it's a template for stringing together different amino acids to make proteins. So say you could insert mRNA into a person, and that code is going to tell the different parts of our cells to produce a spike protein, like what COVID has.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. And then our bodies are like, hey, what the hell is that? Let's attack it. And then when it shows up for good, and if you get COVID, they already know how to fight.
Yes.
Like the punching nun puppet with me and Keith.
No. Yes. I don't know.
If I explained this on the podcast before,
I don't think so.
It's how I understand the COVID vaccine. When Keith and I were younger, our cousin Keith, he told me once, and he was just joking, but we're weird. He said, I'm going to adopt a cat, and then I'm going to get one of those punching nun puppets, and I'm going to tape a picture. Yeah. I'm going to tape a picture of your face to the puppet. I'm going to punch the cat. And then when you first meet the cat, it'll attack you. And so in that analogy, the punching nun puppet is the COVID vaccine, and I'm COVID.
Yes.
And the cat is my immune system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
That's how I understand the vaccine. Yeah. And it's worked pretty well for me.
Yeah. No, that's totally right. And
okay, so so basically what the vaccine does is it is like, hey, here's some instructions on making a spike protein. Can you guys do that?
Yeah.
And then they make the spike protein, and the body's like, what the hell is that? Let's attack it. Okay.
Most of the time it's like, hey, can you make this enzyme or this, receptor for insulin or, pigment for our eyes or, like all the thousands of proteins, millions of proteins we have in our body. And which actually the human proteome is the next project. So someone's genome is all of their genes mapped out. And
when you say genes,
that's those sections of DNA that code for a protein.
Okay. It's DNA and that's where do we find it? It's in a chromosome?
DNA can form chromosomes by wrapping itself around proteins called histones.
Where do you find somebody's DNA then? If you're looking at the human genome and you want to see all their genes, where are we keeping them?
Oh, I mean, in our cells.
So every cell has
Well, you said it at the beginning. You said every cell has that. Oh,
so it's in the chromosomes. Yeah. So the chromosomes are like the dresser in which the dresser drawers are where we keep the genes.
That's a
like jeans. Yeah. No, it's not. No, damn. All right.
It's more like we could use the dresser analogy. It's more like you take a bunch of templates and blueprints for making stuff and crumple it together to form a dresser.
Oh boy. Okay, so sometimes, as I tell my students, the analogy
are genes.
Okay, sometimes the analogy just doesn't quite get there.
Yeah. So a gene is, I have. Most people have one gene from one parent, one gene from the other for a given trait. I have.
That's the Punnett squares that we were doing the other day.
Yes, the Punnett squares we were doing.
Because yes, that is real. That is our lives. On Sunday, we were doing Punnett squares.
Yeah.
So
that I could show that we have to be heterozygous for the brown eyes trait because we have a green-eyed mother.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so the genome is a person's entire DNA. It's everything that your DNA. It's your whole what you code for.
Okay.
Like
all right. So it's all of those letters,
yes.
Basically. Okay.
Basically. Not quite, but I'm not going to go down.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. So the Human Genome
in other words, they are like, hey, let's look. The Human Genome Project is like, let's look at all this and figure out what does what.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Like this is the section that tells us the eye color, and this is the section that tells us the
height.
Okay.
Or whether your earlobes are attached. Or, I have
if you can do that tongue thing,
yeah. I have a student who has one attached earlobe and one detached.
What does that mean?
I don't totally know. That was the question to me. I was like, I mean, sort of chimera.
Mutant. Are they a mutant?
No, it's not a mutation.
Okay. What's a chimera?
When you have like two things that are being expressed that are opposite of one another.
Okay. A chimera was also one of the monsters.
You're thinking of chimera, right?
Oh, those aren't the same word?
Maybe they are. Oh.
Chimera.
Man, I don't know.
All right. We're just going to move along from this dangerous conversation.
Cut out that part.
Yeah. No. We won't cut it out. We'll be honest.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, the Human Genome Project, trying to figure out what all that does.
Right.
And they were like, okay, we're done in 2003.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We got it. We know what's there. Now they've been working on the proteome. So all the proteins in the body. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, so this will later become somewhat important in the episode.
Yeah.
Or not. So Scully brings the sample to this woman, this doctor, scientist, I believe at Georgetown.
Yeah.
And she looks at some of the sample under a microscope. We're going to just skate right past the fact that she was looking in very great detail to something that she said was bacteria sized. It appeared to just be using a light microscope.
Yeah.
We'll pretend.
Yeah.
But she said that they appear to be the size of bacteria, but are a lot more intricate looking on the surface. Maybe that's that fancy sci-fi microscope she's using.
Yeah.
And so she asks Scully if she should take like a frozen section and take a greater look at what's inside and sequence the DNA. And Scully says yes.
Yep. And then around this time, Mulder goes to Dr. Berrubi's house, he's dead now, right? And so Mulder's in his house and Berrubi's phone rings and Mulder answers it and pretends to be Berrubi. And calling him is Dr. Sakari, the green blood bleeding dude who jumped off the dock. And he's at a payphone and he's like freaking out and is like, I'm hurt and stuff. And Mulder keeps being like, where are you? What's your location? What's your address? And he hangs up before.
He goes into some sort of like, it looks like cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And he said, I've been underwater for 3 days or something.
Oh God, right. Yeah. Yeah. And so they, somebody calls an ambulance for him because he gets picked up by the ambulance. I don't remember how he gets in one, but he does.
There's someone like across the street who's in collapse.
Okay. And so in the ambulance, when they do something to him that punctures him. So inside of him gets out. All right. So they poke him and the paramedics do, and a poisonous gas is emitted from his body and everyone in the ambulance gets sick, and crashes and it's toxic. And
he wakes up.
Yeah.
And pulls the needle out of himself as all this is happening.
Yes. Nice.
Deeply unsettling.
Yes. And he runs away.
Yep. So then we see Scully has been like napping on a couch in the Georgetown lab.
Right. Rating for results.
Yes. Which I feel like, oh man, the number of times napped on couches in science buildings.
Yeah.
And
same.
yeah. And the scientist whose name I can't remember.
Dr. Ann Carpenter.
Oh, Carpenter. I was going to say
Yeah.
Carter. Okay, Carpenter. She comes to wake Scully and says that she's got results.
Yes.
Now, again, this is another one. So she's sequenced the DNA from the bacteria or whatever it is.
Yeah. That was, and just to remind you, this is the substance that was in the Erlenmeyer Flask that was labeled purity control.
Yes. And it would take a lot longer to do that.
I kind of figured. And I mean, if it would take longer now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would take like a lot longer.
Yeah.
Has Scully been asleep for days?
Yeah.
At Georgetown.
This is who's that dude? Fell asleep for a long time and woke up and it was different.
Skin?
Oh my God. I was going to say that too. And it's wrong. It's clearly wrong. He's got a Dutch name, doesn't he?
Rip Van Winkle.
Rip Van Winkle. I can't believe we both thought Rumpelstiltskin. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Different fairy tale.
Yes.
So yeah. And Dr. Carpenter has some interesting news.
And she begins by teaching Scully what base pairs are.
Yes, which I just went over and which Scully knows, presumably.
Yeah. I mean, I remember this from watching it back when I was in college because my roommate was a biology major, Amanda, and like her just being like, yeah, Scully knows this. Yeah. This is like clearly for the audience, that they have the doctor explaining this to Scully.
Yeah. Although like when I was taking I'm an anatomy and physiology professor. And when I was taking a martial arts class, there was a lot of like, your sternum is here. And I just kind of would be like, like,
I see.
Yeah. So like she thought like, well, Scully's an FBI agent.
Okay. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
In Dr. Carpenter's defense.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, she probably knew. Anyway. Yeah. So a few things about this organism. Mm-hmm. It has chloroplasts.
Oh, yes.
Which Scully erroneously says are plant cells. I think she means they are an organelle in plant cells. They're what make chlorophyll.
Which is green.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
It's also how plants get energy.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Bacteria don't have any organelles. So all the like ribosomes, mitochondria, chloroplasts, if you're a plant, they don't have any of those.
So they're just like all the same inside. They don't have like extra stuff in there.
Well, I mean, they've got DNA and RNA.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not extra
and like
stuff.
Some more, helper bits, proteins and stuff.
I really don't know what's going on in there when you get right down to it. I really don't. Do you ever think though, like, I am that stuff, thinking about how I don't understand that stuff?
Okay. Here's a fun trivia question for you.
Okay.
In weight, so we're talking weight, and we're going to use pounds because we're American, and that's what this figure.
Is this about blue whales?
No.
Okay.
But I wish. I do like those guys. How many pounds of bacteria are in us?
Okay, so I recently saw some figure. I am in a Facebook group called Science Diagrams That Look Like Shit Posts. And it is like ridiculous looking stuff from science books. And there was a figure that was like all the bacteria on Earth compared to the weight of like 1 trillion blue whales or something like that. Okay, how many pounds of us is bacteria?
Yes.
Oh no, is it more than one? Oh God. But some of it's good, right? Like
most of it, yeah.
I'm not even all me.
No.
I am also some other stuff just riding along with me. It's essentially like carrying a couple of kittens under my arms or on my shoulders forever.
How many kittens?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How many pounds? Well, I mean, like like the average adult.
Yeah.
Okay. As I gain weight, do I gain bacteria?
Not necessarily. No.
Okay. All right. So the heavier I am, the smaller percentage of me is bacteria.
Perhaps.
All right. So, oh God, it's more than one. Ew, 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 ew. I'm going to say 2. No, I'm going to say 2.5. I'm going to say 2.5.
Between 2 and 5.
Okay. That's really gross. I'm really glad you didn't say like 20, but it's still really gross. 5 pounds? I mean,
yeah, I know. That's a lot.
That's disgusting.
And okay. And now here's the fun fact that goes along with that is comparatively, so you have all the human cells in the human body and you have all the bacterial cells.
Mm-hmm.
How do they compare in numbers?
Number of cells.
Yeah. Like what?
So number of my personal cells, and bacteria are one-celled organisms. So it's basically number of bacteria compared to number of human cells. I bet bacteria.
And I'm looking for like a ratio, not an exact number.
Okay. I would guess, because bacteria are smaller, I would guess, than a human cell.
Yeah.
So I would say the ratio is 1 to 1.
There are 10 times more bacteria than human cells in the human body.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. The
They're
human
really
body
little
is
guys.
Disgusting.
Oh, they're such they're happy little guys going along.
Are they? Do they experience emotion? No, don't answer that. Don't answer that. Let's just keep moving.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Because I'm thinking like, how are you guys doing? Do you need anything? Like, I hope you're having a good time. Okay.
We'd like more nutrients, Liz.
Oh, you probably would. Too bad. Just more Oreos. I really wanted Oreos this morning, and I went to the grocery store and I bought, the type I wanted, they only had the party size, which is bigger than the family size, which is bigger than the normal size. And I got a party size thing of golden double stuff Oreos.
Oh.
Yeah. Really
golden
good.
Oreos are underrated.
They're really quite good.
Yeah.
They're quite good. Yeah.
Agreed.
I was like, I wanted Adam to pick me up some mega stuff Oreos one day about a month ago, and they didn't have mega stuffed. And he was like, but here's some double stuffed and some golden double stuffed. And I was like being a little bitch about it and was like, fine, I guess we'll just get the golden double stuffed. And they were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
this
bacteria
creature,
are cool.
Bacteria are cool. There's way too many of them.
Right.
And
whatever this is, a few important facts that it has chloroplasts. It also is, most of them are carrying a virus. Another real, hopefully brief microbiome lesson. Bacteria can get viruses like we can.
Oh no.
And I know that's why you got to take care of your little guys. They can't feel emotion, by the way. They don't have nervous systems. They don't have nerves.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. But you can anthropomorphize them if you would like.
As we've discussed, I anthropomorphize more than I should.
Yeah, that's true. I don't need to encourage that.
No, never encourage it.
Yeah. So in a very common thing to do, because bacteria grow so easily and so quickly, is to, if you want to make more of a gene or make more of a certain virus, would be to infect the bacteria with it and then grow up those bacteria. Okay. And I have done this many, many times in gigantic Erlenmeyer flasks.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought
like
that
novelty size ones?
Yeah. Like 2-3 liter. No, that must, like 2 liter.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Really.
So what are you doing? You're just like a little bit of virus, a little bit of bacteria, stir it up.
I mean, kind of.
Man.
Some nutrients, some heat, and then they go in the shaker.
Give it an Oreo and like
leave it alone for a day, and it smells like E. coli. So that also I thought was a nice touch because I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I've used Erlenmeyer flasks for before too. And then importantly, this, whatever it is, has a 5th and a 6th base. Yes. Which personally I liked, because it was not just like, so Dr. Carpenter or Scully, I believe, when she's relaying this to Mulder, says something about like genetic engineering, which is technically, you know, what you're doing when you grow a virus in a bacteria.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And she made it sound kind of like, again, like almost spooky and futuristic.
Yeah.
And like, and that's not at all
Fair enough.
these days. But I felt like, ooh, a fifth and a sixth base pair. Like, that excites me. That seems like.
So see, I didn't know if that's good to know, because I didn't know if that was like, oh, intriguing, or just absolutely nonsense. The way with the episode with the Eve clones was like, they have how many? 56 chromosomes instead of 46. And it's like, no, that's not compatible with life. It's just dumb. Whereas this is just kind of like, ooh.
I mean, this does not happen. Like, this isn't like a thing that can sometimes happen. Like, it's right. I mean, it's completely sci-fi.
Yeah.
That concept of having a fifth and a sixth. I mean, let's leave. There's kind of a fifth, but let's not go there. RNA has a different one. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like, just for this little one-celled organism to have that, it's sci-fi, but in a way that seems relatively possible for something that's sci-fi.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
Mm-hmm.
But basically this other scientist is like, this is alien.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is like, would she say like, I'd call the government or something like that? Like, if it were me, like, this is weird.
What I first thought was like, not only should this have taken days, but like, I don't know, if I ran sequencing, which I do, and I was like, oh, my results have a fifth and a sixth base pair. I mean, maybe this woman is just a lot more confident in her methods than I am, but I would be like, I'm going to run this again. Like, surely this isn't.
Yeah.
Like, so anyway, but she didn't. She was correct. So
yeah, too bad for her, because she gets killed.
Yes.
Or rather, her and her whole family die in an automobile accident.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scully walks in to discuss things with her further, and her lab mates or whoever else works there. Also, we don't ever wear lab coats when eating, because that's gross. And that negates the whole point of a lab coat.
That's a really good point. I never thought about that. Yeah.
So let's wrap this up.
Yeah. So Mulder, when he was at Ruby's house, he got keys to this storage facility.
Yes.
And he goes there, and I had forgotten what was in the storage facility.
Same.
Oh my God. I was like, wow. Well, there we go. It's big, giant tanks with people floating in them.
Yep. Yeah. Like 6 of them or something.
Yeah. And they're like, the people are like alive, but not awake is what it seemed like to me. And so like, well, no wonder Deep Throat told them to look into all this, you know? And so Mulder the next day is like, Scully, you got to come see this. This is insane. And Scully's like, yeah, I got crazy news for you. And they get there, and obviously the room is totally empty.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And so I can't actually remember what happens after.
Oh, so I just had notes up. So Deep Throat shows up at the empty facility and is like, starts telling them stuff. And I guess they had been making like human alien hybrids, and there were people who were terminally ill, including Dr. Sakari, and they volunteered to get this alien DNA implanted in them to see if it could help cure them. And it did some stuff, like gave him the ability to breathe underwater and heal really quickly and made his blood green or whatever. Yeah. But then the plan was like, okay, cool, it worked. Now we're going to kill you. And but Dr. Berube didn't want his friend to die, so he helped him go on the run.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's why they were chasing him at the beginning of the episode. Now I believe we get to the part where Mulder is back at Berube's house and he finds Sakari hiding out there.
Right. Yes, he finds Sakari hiding out there, and then how does he end up exposed to the...
Because a dude shows up and shoots Sakari and kills him.
Right.
And the green blood starts oozing out, and Mulder gets all like, his eyes are burning and stuff from this green blood. And this murderer takes Mulder hostage.
Yes.
And he's clearly not a murderer like a rando, like he's a government murder type guy.
Yeah. Was specifically sent to get rid of Sakari.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so Scully ends up talking to Deep Throat because she's trying to locate Mulder. And Deep Throat kind of has an idea of where he is. And he says, well, they won't hurt him, though, because you have proof, essentially that they could hold against them. And Scully is like, well, I don't have proof anymore, though, because Dr. Carpenter is gone. And so, that whole sample, that's all gone. And so Deep Throat says, well, that he can, given her medical background, he can get her into a facility where there's proof, where the original cells came from that they were putting in to humans. And so Scully goes into this, not the name, Fort something. I think. Some sort of military sounding government place.
Containment
Fort
facility.
Marlene.
Yeah, Fort Marlene. Yeah.
And so she goes to Fort Marlene and she's walking in and we see her, like going through the security things with the badge that Deep Throat got her. And she gets to a checkpoint and they ask her for the project password. And it takes a few minutes, but then she says purity control.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, so that's, the words that were on the Erlenmeyer Flask, to remind you.
Yep.
And she gets in and finds a alien fetus.
Yep. Frozen in liquid nitrogen. And so she steals it. Yeah. And is going to use it to bargain for Mulder.
Yeah.
And Deep Throat and her meet in their cars out on a bridge. And it's, the middle of the night.
As soon as I saw that bridge, I was like, oh, here we go. Yep. Oh, God. And I can tell I care about this episode because I was starting to do that thing I do when I'm watching TV or a movie that I really like, but has bad stuff happen where I'm like, maybe this time it won't happen. Maybe it'll be different when I watch it this time. Everything will be fine.
It was not, though.
It was not, though. No. Well, okay, we'll get there.
Yeah. So Scully and Deep Throat are arguing a little bit about like who's going to do the handoff to the people.
Yeah.
And Scully doesn't trust Deep Throat, which is pretty fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
But somehow she ends up convinced to let him do this part of it. And so
he talks about how bad these people are, that you're right. He's like, these people you're dealing with. His example is about them like they gave a vaccine in 1980 something and it contained this alien DNA and these children didn't know it. And like at the time, it's just bad, fun, sci-fi, scary stuff. And I hate now watching it and thinking some morons got inspired by this sort of sci-fi and,
Yeah. Well, and that's a problem for other things too. I was listening to a podcast recently where they were trying to chase the origins of the like lizard people in power.
God.
A lot of it has roots in like anti-Semitism and, other sorts of horrible racist, xenophobic thoughts and whatever. But ultimately, like the first evidence of that this researcher could find was coming from a science fiction novel.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's like, it sucks that's
I want to acknowledge like that our government has done some terrible things.
I mean, we mentioned MK Ultra. That's a thing.
And like some other stuff that comes up in the X-Files, but like, it's just harder to watch nowadays. It's weird. Like, I certainly don't hold Chris Carter responsible,
No.
But like, it's a shame. I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame.
So anyway, Deep Throat is going to make the handoff. So Deep Throat, the other car pulls up. Deep Throat gets out with the box full of alien fetus and they take the box and they shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they it's a van and they roll Mulder out the back of the van
and take off.
Yeah. And so Scully goes running to Deep Throat, and his dying words are trust no one.
Which, like, what dying words? I mean, like, my God, I aspire to that. I
mean, so you want to say something like really cryptic and alarming, just like for kicks?
100%.
Well, we should be working on this. You got to be ready. You never know when your time will come.
I mean, trust no one's pretty good. So
yeah, that's not bad. I guess that's a nice default.
Yeah. Or, something cryptic about, like, check the file, or, like something.
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Something to send people on, like, you could be like, I buried the treasure in, and then die,
Yeah. So Deep Throat dies. And then it just kind of cuts to 13 days later.
And Mulder, they show that Mulder's not dead, by the way. Like, yeah, but Deep Throat is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 13 days later, Scully
is woken up at 11:21, turning 11:22 p.m. And it's Mulder calling. And he tells her that they have shut the X-Files down. That he got the word from Skinner, but that it came from higher ups, and
it came from the top of the executive branch, which I take to mean Bill Clinton shut down the X-Files.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah. I was like, wait, the top of the executive branch, this is Clinton. So, yeah.
Well, it goes all the way to the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's it. They'll be reassigned.
And the very last scene is Cancer Man, or Cigarette Smoking Man, with the package full of alien fetus, putting it in a giant storage facility, which is just like what happens at the end of the pilot episode.
Yes.
With him storing something there. So
yep, at the Pentagon.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and Mulder says something to Scully also, along the lines of, like, he's not going to stop just
right.
Because.
She's like, you're not going to give up, and
right.
Not while the truth is out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Such a good episode.
So good. So good.
So that's season 1.
Yeah. I read some interesting things about this episode. One is that this is one of Chris Carter's favorite episodes. He was really proud of it. And he said, like, apparently Fox didn't want them to have the X-Files closed because they were afraid people would think the show was canceled.
Oh,
yeah. But they stuck to it, and they really liked that. And they have a lot of notes there that come back in the mythology with, like, the alien human hybrids and future episodes and the toxic blood. And then I started reading that the whole, like, toxic blood stuff was inspired by this really bizarre case in California. And I wanted to tell you about it. We don't have any stories from listeners, but we do have a weird story of a woman named.
Yeah, tell me.
Let me find her name. For God's sake, Liz, where did it go? Gloria Ramirez. Okay. And so this happened just a couple of months before the episode was filmed, because she died in February of 1994.
Okay.
Okay. So she had cervical cancer and late stage, and she shows up to the ER in Riverside, California, and she got like tachycardia, and she's like all out of it. And while they're trying to work on her and save her, and they're doing stuff to her, all the people working on her start getting really sick and passing out.
Whoa.
And so at first it was considered a case of mass hysteria. And you won't be surprised to learn that it was mostly women who were working on her and passed out. And of course they thought it was hysteria.
Yeah, I am unsurprised.
But they now think, because they did some more studies.
Hold on. Can I?
Yes.
Interject?
Yes.
Is it some sort of reaction from the chemotherapy that she was getting? One of the toxic chemicals?
No, but you're on the right track.
Okay.
In a more DIY sort of way.
Oh, God. Okay.
She was taking dimethyl sulfide as a treatment for her pain, just self-administering it. Apparently they sell it like as a goo in hardware stores. What did you say?
DMSO?
Yes, DMSO.
Oh my God. Yeah, we use that for reactions and chemistry and shit.
Well, don't take it as a painkiller.
God.
Because they think it was converted into dimethyl sulfoxide. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that gets converted into dimethyl sulfate, which is, according to Wikipedia, an extremely poisonous and highly carcinogenic alkylating agent. And so they think that because when they were working on her, these people started getting symptoms of shortness of breath and muscle spasms. And they also, some people noticed a garlic-like odor they thought was coming from her body, which apparently could be associated with that. And they also noticed when they were trying to defibrillate her that they noticed that she had an oily sheen, which they also thought could be accounted by that. And so they think that could account, that the gel of that could like account for that or something. And so people were breathing in the dimethyl sulfate and getting sick is what they actually think happened.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So she'd been injecting herself with it?
I don't know how she was giving it to herself. That's a good question. Self-administering.
She had so much in her that when
it like reacted and made people sick. Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. And so there was like, they had learned of that prior to the episode.
Yeah.
Like it was inspired by that partially.
Yeah. Yeah. It was. Yeah. That's how they got the idea for the
alien
toxic
blood.
alien blood. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
Gosh. Well, season 1.
So season 1 finishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up next we have season 2.
Little Green Men is the first episode.
What'd you say?
Little Green Men.
Little Green Men. Yeah. Yeah. So we've got that. And then I always think of this as the first episode of season 1, but apparently it's the second episode, the Fluke Man. We have him coming up in 2 episodes.
I forgot about
that. We got the Fluke Man coming.
Great.
I can't think of what the episode's called, but yeah, he's coming up.
Awesome.
Yeah. Love that guy.
Well,
and we'll also be talking about the book.
Yeah. Yep. Maybe that'll be a good in between seasons 1 and 2 sort of
we'll see.
Project.
How long it takes you to read it.
Yes, we will. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for listening, and make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. And we'll talk X-Files soon.
Yep. Signing off. It is us. Okay. Goodbye.